For me, being the head of retail banking for the UAE, customer experience is like the most important thing to ensure that we always maintain a certain standard when it comes to dealing with customers. I think without providing a very strong customer experience, we can't really have a strong brand in the UAE. And for me, that's like the basic starting point. So before we go into products, services, branch network or footprint that we have, it's very critical that each one of us takes extreme importance towards ensuring every customer gets the best experience out of the group. And that experience is what creates our brand, our image, our strength in the market. Ownership means to me a lot, honestly. I'd start with leadership before ownership. I think people hear the term that only a head of a business or a senior manager is actually a leader, but I do believe that everyone in the organization can play the role of being a leader. And what that means is actually going the extra mile and taking ownership of your job and doing it at the best of your capabilities, and making sure you always go the extra mile in any situation or in any kind of interaction. So ownership to me is equal to leadership, and we can all demonstrate it in our day-to-day jobs. And if we all put our heads together and actually lead from the front, we will create a fabulous experience that we can be proud of and our clients can be happy to deal with us. I think for me, when it comes to customer experience, it's about attention to detail. So I know we'll always be or doing the obvious, which is very easy. But I think going the extra mile goes beyond what is obvious and actually looking at the details. It can even be as good as making sure whenever we have a washroom in a branch, that washroom is always clean for when a customer needs to use the loo. So I would go to that level of detail. And I think being such a big organization, sometimes we miss out on the details and we take the details for granted. And if there's one thing I would love to change, is actually our attention to details and making sure that every single detail which is non-obvious and not clear in front of our eyes is actually taken into consideration when it comes to customer experience. One good story which I can think of is I went to New York for a business trip. And obviously it's a 16 hours flight, you're aware of it. And when I landed, unfortunately for some odd reason or the other, some passengers sometimes get taken through separate queues on basically exiting the airport. And during immigration, I was put up in a holding room for almost a few hours. Now, I would have loved that the airline made sure that the transportation which I had requested for and my luggage was well taken care of, but that wasn't the case. So that added an hour more of strain because I had to pick up the luggage, wait in the taxi line. And then after 6-7 hours, actually, I reached the hotel. Obviously, the hotel did the normal formalities when they pick up your luggage, your suitcase. And while I was at the receptionist realized that I was 6 hours late to my original check-in time. They first checked whether I was roaming around the country or what actually happened. And I told them, no, the story was I held up and it took me 5-6 hours and it was a miserable experience. So while they were preparing for the room, the receptionist asked me for a few seconds just to hold on. He wanted to check something in the back. Probably must have spoken to his manager or a supervisor on the duty. And when he came back up, he said, "Sir, please find your room key, and I'm also glad to inform you that we've decided to upgrade your room almost 5 levels higher than the room I was supposed to check into." And that was really for me an excellent experience. And he said, "I do apologize for what happened with your experience entering the United States as soon as you join. I hope your trip from here onwards is only uphill, and you actually enjoy the rest of your stay in the US." So I found that a really amazing story because he didn't really have to do it. And if I reflect back and think about it, when it comes to the way the receptionist took full ownership of my experience in the US, he really didn't have to apologize for my time in the immigration. He didn't have to worry about what happened to me with the airlines provider. He actually went beyond his call and wanted to ensure that going forward, the next few days, my experience in the US or in New York in particular was actually an amazing one. And obviously accommodation is a key part of your let's say, stay in the country. And I thought that was phenomenal, honestly. He didn't have to, and the ownership he took, he actually spoke to his supervisor without me even knowing, didn't even say that I'll check whether I can get you an upgrade or not. He actually went, got it, and really surpassed my expectations. Now, the bad thing could have been that he says, "Sir, let me check if I can get you an upgrade," and then checks with the supervisor and doesn't get approved, because while you're waiting, you're hoping for actually something good, because your expectation has risen up high. But if you know how to communicate with your clients and your customers, and there's always a way to deliver exceptional customer experience. My main key message, honestly, is please keep the closest attention to detail. Honestly, we overlook detail in a lot of the decisions that we take. And please do escalate, because I've seen that in the organization, at least I'm newer here, so I have seen this, that the culture of speaking up or raising issues to management is a little bit weak. So I would encourage everyone that if they do see any opportunity, any process change that has been overlooked, that they do raise it, because I think it's only the guys in the front, or our teams in the front, which really understand what the customers go through and see the customers day in and day out, and they would be better experts than any of us which don't interact as often. And I believe the customer experience team has an idea generation portal, and I just encourage everyone to really load their ideas onto that portal. Or even if it's not a great idea, or you think it's not great, you shouldn't worry, because sometimes it's the stupidest ideas which turned out to be the great ones. I own it. Do you?